Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the 21st of December. Welcome to Yule, the beginning of winter, the celebration of winter solstice. This is one of those you can watch as many times as you want. It's the first time we're trying long format, so here it is for you to enjoy. So, what is Yule? Yule, as we know it today, is Christmas, kind of. Yule leads back to the Viking tradition, the name itself. And it's when the northern peoples that live in the cold would celebrate the fact that, yes, just like George R. R. Martin said, winter is coming, yet this is the longest night we will have for the winter to come. Winter may be coming, winter may be harsh and cold, and we'll still have to deal with provisions and counting how much wheat shall be used and how much meat we still have left and how much salted meats and frozen meats in the snow we have. But we can know from this moment on that the sun is going to start be showing a little bit more every day in the sky. And we can count on happier and shinier days ahead of us. What is Yule in astrological terms? Yule is the transition between autumn and winter. And as they celebrated back in the day, we can still celebrate that transition consciously in today's time. Yule, the 21st, symbolizes the passage of the sun from the constellation of Sagittarius to the constellation of Capricorn. So the true end of autumn and the true beginning of winter, the winter solstice. What happens within you is you are transitioning from a phase of letting go, regeneration, transformation, little deaths that happen to you along the way throughout autumn. All the skins you have to shed is the falling of the leaves, right? All the metamorphosis of that swift change of color from the red to the orange to the yellow and the leaf folds. And with that, autumn is the place for you to understand throughout the seasons and throughout this year what was the thing or the things, whether they be on a physical level, an emotional level, or an intellectual level, or even from a spiritual source. What are the things that you really want to engrave in this new you in the year to come? You really want to engrave in the foundation of your core person in the year to come, and what other things that you want to let go of. Autumn is for this. So Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius are for this. In Libra, you debate your own ideas with yourself and you debate them with others as well. You go to the realm of your relationships when it comes to befriending people. It's just not acquaintances. You debate, you converse, you form attachments, you share likes and dislikes, and with that you understand who you are at this point. And if you still are a person who likes to go and see horror films, or if that's something that you left on your teenage years, you just do it with your peers from a long time ago, and that's kind of done for you now, for example. When you come to the Scorpio stage, you go to a more, and Libra is very much in the realm of the mind, I would say. So understanding this in a conscious level, not really about making much change. Libra accesses possibilities, looks at pros and cons, positives, negatives, gaining and losing. Because for everything you lose, you will gain, and for everything you gain, you will lose. So with this, Libra just accesses the possibilities like a lawyer or like a judge. It's the two sides, of the scale. And when you come to the Scorpio stage, what happens is you are dealing with the intimacy of yourself and the intimacy you perceive on others and you decide to give to others. So, of course, your intimate relationships, your super best friends, and your family at some extent, and your partner. But mostly, the intimacy within yourself is about what secrets are you keeping? And what secrets do you still want to keep? And what things are you wanting to preserve and not really wishing to put out in the world because you are speaking about it, if I'm making myself understood? So how much of your secrets do you want to reveal to your friends? How much of your secrets do you want to reveal to your family? How much of your secrets do you want to reveal to your acquaintances, the people that work with you, and so on and so on? Because sometimes we do that instinctively, right? Like if someone is a Gemini and has a very strong core in Scorpio, they will effusively and just like very, very casually just blunt out something very secretive about themselves. And then the Scorpio side of them was like, shit, I should not have done this. This was very special because it was secret. It was mine. It was like, it was an untouched realm that no one knew. And now it's out there in the world. So Scorpio invites you to go within, to go into this stage of metamorphosis, staying very still and letting the skin shed, just like snakes do during the winter time. After accessing this whole emotional, and most of those secrets, might I add, are sometimes emotional. So traumas you have in the past, stuff you lived through childhood, teenage years, or even before that, past lives. So a lot of that comes to you, generally speaking. If you're a Scorpio, it will come more, but if you're a Scorpionic person, it will come more. But in general, when we are living the Scorpio season within the 23rd of October until the 22nd of November, we will feel this more. Like stuff comes to our mind, traumas, situations, or even happy moments, of course, not just so things that have a core intensity about it. It has to have been very intense, otherwise you won't remember it. And upon those memories that come to you, and upon those refreshes that your mind does to yourself, you see, that was fun back then, wasn't it? Damn, I should go back to it, shouldn't I should go back to it. Like I should go and revisit that friend, or go back to that sort of spontaneous vacation, or I just did that for a day and it was so fun. And other things like, yeah, I don't have to live that thing anymore. That led me to behave a certain way, that led me not to trust certain types of people, and now I am the way I am, and how can I rearrange myself according to this? So in Scorpio, you really start the exercise of shedding, of letting go, and letting that skin fall from you, and accepting that you don't want it. It becomes very material, very, very, very material. Because in truth, what polarizes Scorpio is Taurus. So you will probably in Scorpio season throughout the fall, you will have this feeling of like minimizing everything. Oh, why do I have so much paper? Throw everything away. Why do I keep all these like tax stuff like from IRS and stuff like that? Just throw everything away. Why do I keep these coats and these plates and all these curtains? Like, this isn't me. And you throw everything away. Throw away in whatever capacity you like. Like, it can be a recycling thing, it can be a charity. Just get rid of you from your life. Get rid of your life, of your living space, of your territory, so to say. And in this, you find enormous safety. You find enormous security. Scorpio is all about feeling that you can be vulnerable within a space. And that is that's mankind's greatest power, in my opinion. The last planet in the solar system is Pluto. So by overcoming the power of that, therefore is the one that influences us the most, because to be so far away and still have a pull on us gives it enormous strength. And it's the only planet that actually can take the wrath of the sun and be as close to the sun, even actually sometimes closer than Mercury. But another video. What I'm trying to say is, when we overcome the power struggles of Pluto, when you overcome the power struggles of attachment and detachment, we do it through vulnerability. We can't be intimate with someone by not being vulnerable. And that's what we learn throughout Scorpio season. We need to feel that we can be vulnerable inside our own house. That's why we start detaching from the material stuff. We have to feel that we can be vulnerable with our friends. That's why we start detaching from some friends. We have to feel that we can be vulnerable in the activities that we do. Like, that's why we stop watching certain things or reading certain books and start going for a more aligned experiences with feeling vulnerable. The thing about Scorpio season and the shedding that happens in this stage is all about, so where does my vulnerability lie right now? How can I vulnerabilize myself? I do love inventing words. Then comes Sagittarius. When Sagittarius comes, you feel very light, right? You feel very light. You feel that you have a grasp of your life. You feel you have a grasp of your goals. And I manage not to slurp. I love slurping tea. I'll never do it in front of people, because Libra and all. Yeah, I love slurping tea. Unless you're by yourself, you just. So when it comes to the Sagittarius stage, what happens is, after all that shedding, after all that thinking you've done in Libra, you realize that, okay, I have a nice grip I have a nice grip in my life. I can now decide what I want to do henceforth. I can look at life with perspective and with gusto and with mainly belief, so to say, of course. So I can believe that I can attain the goals that I want to attain. I can actually go about the things I want. This is very important. Why is it so important that we become aware of this? Because Sagittarius is a fire sign. And just like any fire, it has its peaks, just like an ECG, up and down, up and down. So there are moments you're like at the top of the world. Yeah, I can do this. This is the best. No one but me can do this task. And then there are moments, oh my God, life's so hard. This is so impossible. No one wants to help me. I don't have the resources. I'm not capable to do this. Like, how did I think that I was going to be able to do it? All these things come to you through Sagittarius season. And it's an important moment to access. Go a little bit back to the Libra stage and observe things criteriously and kind of criteriously and critically. Because when you observe things and you gain perspective through an inner critic, you will see the pros and cons of every situation, and that's what you need to move ahead, because there will always be pros and cons. What happens in Sagittarius season is that because it is a fire sign, because it is a Jupiterian sign, because it is so expensive, it just thinks about moving forward, and that is supposed to happen. That is all right. But you can be aware that the cons still exist and they're there, and you can address them. So what happens is you're so happy, you're so motivated, you're so, oh my God, I can do everything. You go, and then you fall from such a big cliff, and it's so hard. And then it's like, man, what's the point? And that really hits sharp. Like, it really, really does. So within that realm of possibility and co-creation that Sagittarius have, it's important to have the childlike feeling of trying out and experiencing and believing that you can still do it, but address the concept that there will be cons, address the idea that there are going to be things you're going to lose in the process. We lose that, don't we? We're so excited that our expectations only see one thing, which is it's going to go well, it's going to be the best, it's going to be perfect. And when you get there, people are not nice, it was not so clean, it was not so fun, it was not so... You start naming things, man, I was such an idiot. Because I just believe I could have the best experience just by myself. No, you need the surroundings. That is addressing the cons. And that is very important to do in Sagittarius season. But most of all, understand that in Sagittarius season, we need to understand that when we believe we can do something, that is 50% of the path walked. From every step you take, the next step is automatic. For 50% of the journey, if you walk for 20 minutes, only in the first 10 you're walking automatically. And in the last 10 minutes of the walk, and if you're very tired, it starts to rain, and if things get very muddy, you lose that sense of excitement and motivation. That's why I love Mel Robbins. She says something like this. She says, yeah, we can start with that. I don't believe in motivation. I think motivation is garbage. And it's true. If we just rely on our motivation, we can't go ahead. We can rely on our faith in ourselves, on the faith in ourselves. We can rely on that. For those last 10 minutes of the walk to go by. And for you to say, if I've done the first 10 minutes, I can do the last 10 minutes. I can carry on with this journey. It's just I've done half of it. Now muscles are getting sore and joints are getting a bit sticky, so I can do this. If I started, I can finish. That is the feel that one needs to go through the Sagittarius season. So Yule, astrologically speaking, is very much about this. We become aware of the things we've done throughout the year. I'm talking a lot about autumn because it's the season where you really look at these things with a sharp focus and with a sharp criteria. You really look into it like rigorously. You really are looking at things with a magnifying lens, and it's coming very clearly to you. It's like very criteriously to you. You really are addressing and understanding your year. This is the moment to do it. Autumn is all about that. When you shed, when you don't carry weight around with you, you really understand the things you have done and the things you haven't done. This is the meaning of Yule. When I used to celebrate Yule with my friends every year, and we would do rounds of gloating, so to say. And it's in those rounds of gloating, those are the moments you really see, man, I've come forward this year, I've done something. And that's when you realize that some years you will do a lot of stuff in the physical realm. Like you've changed homes, you got rid of things, you've bought stuff, you got a new job. And other years you don't do any of this. But you've dealt with a lot of people from your past, you've dealt with a lot of people in your present moment, you've learned the power of confrontation, you've learned the power of debating your ideas and standing your ground. Other years are more, you learned a lot, you studied a lot. And yeah, you don't see the material movement of buying house, selling house, buying car, changing jobs, getting a new girlfriend. It's not so much about that every year. When you come to this Yuletide season, you perceive that very, very well. You see that some years are more quiet than others, but in general, we always do a lot of stuff. We always do a lot of work. Yule, I like to compare with the astrology aspect, the trine. People that have a lot of trines have a lot of gifts, and sometimes it's hard for them to perceive those gifts because it's so automatic, it's so engraved in you that you don't even perceive you have those. You don't even perceive that you have those abilities. So you need to stop sometimes and look back and look back, stop for a minute. What have you accomplished so far? You see what you've done until now? Like, stop for a minute. Instead of criticizing yourself because you created a plan and a strategy and you just focus on the go, 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 do, move forward, move forward, move forward, every day 100 meters more, every day a kilometer more. And then you lose track of what you have accomplished. Stop, look back. You've walked a lot already. That is the point of view. That sense of self-preservation, so to say. Don't tie yourself more by continuing the race. Take a moment and access your weapons and access your trophies and access your accomplishments. And then that gives you such a boost to carry on. And most of all, it gives you a new direction. It self-orientates. Because you look back and you see, well, there was this one decision I made this year that led me to where I am right now. And now I see that it was a good decision. And what's most fascinating to me about this time is when we do this, we realize that some really hardcore moments throughout the year where we dealt with really shitty situations, we then see that, if that hadn't happened, I would have never met the person that got me in this right now. And then you see, I had to go through that mud, didn't I? I had to go through that storm to be where I am right now. And yes, you did. So, hooray to you. The tradition of Christmas that we use and that we practice these days was very much inspired by Vikings, by northern peoples. I always like to separate Vikings and Northerns because Vikings are the ones with the discovery, because it was the ship people, not necessarily the ones who stayed in. Even Danish people do say that Vikings were the Norwegians and us, not the Swedes. they do say this jokingly, because it's It's how they separate. But in general, everybody in the north would celebrate Yule. And the things we have today, such as the pine tree, the fact that we use apples as Christmas, hanging decorations, the fact that we put a star on top, the fact all of these things we sometimes link to Christianity and has absolutely nothing to do with Christianity. Even the concept of Santa Claus that we use and that we portray, and that Coca-Cola turned red, if you didn't know, was very much based on the god of thunder, Jupiter god Thor, as they say in Iceland. Because, and this is, as you know, history just keeps on picking little bits of pieces and then putting everything together, right? So one of the ideas, one of the theories, is that Thor was the inspiration of Santa Claus, in the sense that all gods would travel throughout the 9 realms of the Yggdrasil through the Bifrost, the rainbow bridge that we see actually quite well in the Marvel films. But Thor was the brute one, wasn't it? The Thor was the brute guy. He was so strong. He was so buff. He was so Jupiterian that he would break the Bifrost. So they designed him as sly with goats, so he could go around, roam around, and not destroy the Bifrost for everyone else, and go to the land of giants and go to the land of the people anytime he was needed elsewhere. And it is said in Viking mythology that when you see thunder in the sky, when you hear lightning and see thunder in the sky, it's Thor roaming across the skies on the place where you live. So it's quite funny to think that way. Where do the apples come from? That is something that I find quite interesting. So on Yule Day, it was customary to sacrifice either a cow or a goat. This is, now that I think about it, I'm creating content that is so good for Viking nerds, like people that are into Viking mythology and customs and magic really love this kind of thing. So they would sacrifice a tree with apples. No, they wouldn't sacrifice. They would sacrifice the animal atop the tree, and as the blood runs through the tree, as a symbol, because pine wood would be the preferred wood to burn. Would be the preferred chosen log to burn at night and to burn out through the winter, because it's a very endurable wood in fire. Still today, it's the preferred wood. They would put the pine tree, they would put the apples, they would slay the animal atop, and then the blood rinsing down from the tree would turn the apples red. Why apples? Apples are the sustenance of winter. If you look around all over the world, you see that apples don't really have a season, and you understand that lemons do. Apples don't really have a season. You have summer apples, you have winter apples. So it's a good way to keep sustenance when really all you have is oats and meats and meat. And the only true thing that survives the winter and the snow is the apples and some herbs, but apples are what you count on. In the ancient times, the celebration of Yule in the material, physical form of it was very important. So if you could go back to a time where all you can eat in the north of Europe and the east of Europe, like northern east of Europe, was, I'm not talking about Russia, I'm talking about like Denmark, Norway, Finland, Sweden, like Poland, that's. And it's so funny that all that we know of Christmas comes from these areas, comes from like Eastern Europe, and Polish people still celebrate Christmas like, seriously, there's so much like lore and folklore and traditional pagan ancestry in that. It's insane. It's so beautiful that it's still preserved today. And of course, in Norway too, and in Finland and Denmark. But what I mean by this is, how can you visualize yourself in a land of just snow, frosts, and hail every day? You have nothing to eat but some apples, some herbs that might survive. You have logs to keep you warm. You have meat you have hunted throughout the year and that you can still hunt now. And you have oats. And that's it. And barley. That's it. Or rye. Sorry. It'd be rye. Some fish that you might fish, but now the lakes are frozen, so Autumn is the beginning of a very hard time for these. Yule, the 21st of December, is the winter solstice. And that means that's going to be the longest night of the year. By tradition, the men would go to the forest and find the biggest log they could find to lit in the hole throughout all night, where people would feast and have a moment of sort of celebration. But there is a twist. This celebration is actually just a boost, because in truth, winter is coming. The hardest times, the coldest times, or the most frozen times have passed, but the coldest and hardest part is still yet to come. January is coming. February is coming. Only in March you'll start having a little bit of melt. So you still have the hardest path of your journey to go through. This is the symbolism of Yule. You go through the autumn phase and you shed and you address all the things you've done. You get a sort of a boost and you refocus and you reorientate yourself. Because in truth, the year ends in the beginning of spring on the spring equinox in March 21st. So you still have those 3 months of winter, and that's actually the longest bit of your journey. That's the hardest part of your journey. And despite the fact that the sun is on your side, illuminating you and giving you the perspective that it will come every day, regardless of what the world is doing, of how the surroundings are behaving, so can you. As the sun sets and rises every day, so can you. It's just 3 more months of winter. Then you can see the harvests, crop, and later on reap on the benefits of your hard work. So it's just a celebration that reminds you to take a break, see what you've accomplished so far, address what needs to be addressed, clean out the corners, clean out this emotional space in your mind, and carry on. I have a suggestion on a sort of Yule celebration here. Nothing beats that cup of tea, does it? For Yule, it's very important for us to really do the shedding, especially on the days coming to Yule. So when it comes to dealing with people, that's kind of the focus of my practice, is how, like, me versus the other. I'm very Scorpionic, so I think that's how I put my clients in the world, and my students too, how to perceive themselves so intact and so integral and so whole that they can face other people despite the fact that they are mean to you, or listen to you, or disagree with you, or whatever, sabotage you, whatever. So with this, I say that if it's a case of you understand that you want to confront a certain person, or finish something with someone, you actually want to create that confrontation, go for it. This is the moment to do that. Sometimes that is not possible. And one of a very nice magical practice that I like to do for you myself, in those cases where people are not really able to listen, is to write letters. You can grab a piece of paper and a pen and write a long letter with all the things that you would want to say to that person. You can then read the letter aloud, put it in a cauldron, and burn it. That's the beginning of your winter. And that is a very important setting stone, because you're starting this new walk of creation and becoming yourself very light, because all these things are addressed. It doesn't matter sometimes that we speak to people face to face. It only matters that we speak to them once, even if it's on an energetic level through letter. But that conversation was done. And this can be for stuff from your childhood, from when you were a teenager, from when you were like a young adult, from when people that are gone now. You can always communicate. You can always say your piece. The other person is more than allowed not to listen in like 3D terms, so to say. If you write the letter, the message is being put out there. When it comes to the mind aspect of Yule and the stage of Yule and its letting go, I say that straight conversations with yourself are good magical practice. Like speaking to yourself, like by yourself, but you can take it next level when you speak to yourself in front of a mirror and you assess and address pros and cons of the things you want and the things you like and don't like anymore, and you make decisions. Stress is a consequence of not making decisions, as simple as that. And when we make decisions, basically making a decision is accepting that we have addressed the positives and the negatives of a circumstance, and we can deal with the positives and the negatives within that circumstance. So let's say one wants to sell the house and move out to a new house. What are the pros and cons of those? Can you deal with that when the time comes? Can you deal with these possible aspects of your decision? Yeah, I can. All right, then do you want to decide for that? Yeah, I think I think I do. I think I see myself dealing with it quite harmoniously, and like, even if it's not so harmonious, I see myself like being able to deal with it. Right, decision made. When we don't make decisions, we create a sort of standstill in our lives. That is the beginning of autumn, isn't it? That's Libra. Libra is when you start making decisions, and those decisions need to come out. So, on a mental, intellectual level, I would say that this is what Yule breeds in a magical practice.
So, when it comes to the physical part of the shedding in Yule, you'll see that all the foods that nature is bringing to you in this time are very much like beetroots, carrots, carobs, cabbages naturally, but like there's a lot of potatoes, there's a lot of rooting in the soil to kind of keep you grounded in this whole process of shedding. That is the important things to eat. So nature itself is aligned with you in this time of transition. So your feet are sunk in the mud, and everything on top of you, can shed all those beautiful leaves. In this process is really good, in my opinion, to go through stuff like detox treatments, like go for a good sweaty run, go like take a whole day to work out, like, you know, mild working out. I mean, like going to the gym for 8 hours a day. I mean, like taking hikes, you know, like going for a long day of hiking, or going through saunas, through like drainage massages. All these sort of things are very much aligned with this period of Yule when it comes to the physicality of things that have to be cleansed out of your body. If you want to do a lymphatic cleanse through teas, through fruits, through some sort of anything you would enjoy, that would be the time. Especially in Sagittarius season. If you want to do a liver detox, man, that is the time. It really is, to go on like very special soups or start some sort of teas, or I know a lot of people that do this sort of thing, and it's amazing when we do cleanse our liver, or just to go after medical medium and do those beautiful celery juices. Who knows? Might be for you. So it is a time where you can decide to actively detach, change, transmute, and focus on the year ahead, and look back with a joyful gaze, and look back to the year that you have lived through, and perceive all the accomplishments that you have created, all the beautiful goals you have attained, and all the things you have accomplished for yourself. Because if you don't celebrate the hard work you've put so far, then what's the point? And it can be as simple as it is. This year you read a book. If you're going through a rough patch and you haven't read a book in years, and this year you read one book, that is a damn good achievement. As it is buying a house, as it is having a baby. It really, celebrate your victories, no matter how small. Every time, every day. That is the true message of you. All right, this was it. This was the Yule video, a first long format I've ever tried in here on the channel. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was good company to you, and that you managed to find understanding in this message, and that you can find space and motivation to align these ideas with your life if you feel like it. Do let me know if this is kind of a format that you are looking for on this channel. I do like the long videos. They are a different way of producing content, And to me, it's a more fluid form. It feels like I am with you having a conversation. And I felt it was just about time. And do let me know in the comment section what kind of other videos do you want me to put out here. I'll always link absolutely everything that exists with astrology. That is my aim. That is my purpose. Feel free to share it with all your friends that you feel aligned with Yule and Vikings and old traditions and how everything is explained by the stars. I'll see you on the next video. And until then, stay light and stay golden.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. Next year all our troubles will be out of sight. Someday soon we all will be together, if the fates allow. Until then we'll have to muddle through somehow. So have yourself a merry little Christmas now.